What's going on, YouTube? Northeast Ohio here. Back for a little NBA market update. And we got a lot of green on the chart this time. A lot of green. I was going to save this for the weekend review thing on Sunday, but I'm just going to make this its own standalone video so we can dig a little deeper. But it appears as if we are now moving in the right direction for a lot of stuff. So I have market movers open. Link below if you're interested in checking out market movers. Also, YouTube stuff, click like buttons, all that stuff. We're getting close to 1,400 subs and 1,500. So click the buttons down below. Like stuff, sub stuff, whatever. So I was digging through market movers, kind of just doing some prep work for some other stuff. And they have a handy tool. I don't use it on camera very often, but I use it just to kind of get feels for stuff in the back end. It's a price movement by player chart. So what it does is it takes that player and every card that they have in market movers, and it lumps them all together and just tells you what the market is for that general player. So I have numbers. I have this chart listed by number of sales. You can see over here. Obviously, LeBron's number one. That's the least shocking thing ever. He's been in the league for 1,000 years, and he has 1 billion cards. He has 208 cards in market movers. You can actually click this, and it'll give you the individual breakdown on the cards. So LeBron's down 8%, and he's the number one sales guy. This is the two least shocking things. In the last video, we did the video about LeBron stuff going down because the market's flooded. And here you can see he's leading the league in sales by a mile. Now, he also has more cards than anybody else. That's neither here nor there. But when you move off of guys from the NBA Finals, so Heat and Lakers, you basically see green on a ton of guys. We see Zion, and this is, once again, going back 7 days. I like to do this. I know there's some value in going long term, but I like this stuff in a short term because it gives you a better idea of when things are starting to pull out. So we see Zion, his cards in general, up 2.5%. Ja Morant, up 3%. Luka, up 2%. Scroll down here, Tyler Heroes down. That's normal. I would expect that. They just lost. Kobe Bryant up. That's neither here nor there. Trae Young up 5%. This Jason Tatum down 20. I did not dive into this, but this one seems strange to me. So you see his prism-based PSA 10 looks like it's down a bunch, but most of his stuff is green. I think there's a bad number on this PSA 10 prism that they might have missed editing. I'll have to dig into that one because this one didn't make any sense. Kobe White down 4%. That's neither here nor there. AD down 15, normal. Michael Jordan. RJ Barrett up 8. Where you're starting to see things trending are these like spec play guys. So you see SGA green, Rui up 15%. Michael Porter Jr. up 7%, Cam Reddish up 10%, so on and so forth. I'm not going to read through this entire list, but you can see as I scroll through here, there's very little red. Jimmy Butler's down 10. That's normal. They just lost. Mitchell's down a little bit. We just see a ton of green here. Sekou up 10%, Kevin Porter Jr. up 10%, DeAndre Ayton up almost 20%. So this kind of is showing me that people are starting to we are officially in the NBA offseason now. And it looks like people are starting to make their moves for whatever guy or guys that they want to put their money into. As we've been talking about for the last few weeks, I've been saying go out and buy these guys. They're approaching their bottom. I think we've officially hit the bottom of the NBA market for the guys that are well past out. The Heat and Lakers guys are a different story. They're still going down. But I think for the most part, the rest of the NBA market, I think we have hit the bottom and it's all systems go from here. Now, when I say all systems go, I wouldn't expect 10% a week. There may even still be some small downticks. But I think in general, most of these cards are going to start trending the way that we want to see them trend. It's going to be slow and it's going to be small. It's going to be these small percentage ticks here and there. And then I think it really ramps up come the end of November when the draft is and free agency is supposed to open on December 1st, I think is the latest rumor. And then what's going to happen is somebody somewhere is going to make a trade to drastically shift a team, whether it's the Mavericks, whoever, especially if it's the Mavericks. But whoever it is, someone's going to change hands that kind of maybe slightly shifts the balance of power. And I'm going to guess you're going to see a spike in those cards. Free agents class is really weak this year. The biggest name is Fred VanVleet, and he doesn't have any really good rookie cards. He was one of those guys that kind of slipped through the cracks. There's just not a lot of rookie cards for Fred VanVleet out there. So, and then once free agency happens, then when does the NBA season come back? I think that could be the only thing that potentially pumps the brakes on the NBA market if they end up delaying the season until March. Now, the rumors have been late January, as we've been talking about on the channel. My initial guess, and I'm still sticking with this, is MLK Day. I could see it getting into February. However, with the way the pandemic is trending, and depending on probably what happens with the election and all that stuff, I wouldn't be surprised, as many people in the actual NBA media environment have speculated, as they could see it starting as late as March. So I don't know what happens from November. Let's call it December 1st when the free agency starts to whenever the season starts. Does a delayed season pump the brakes and people slow down a little bit? Or does it flip the script and we get the environment that we had when the pandemic first set in, where people were hyped up for the NBA and sports cards, etc. No one's playing, so everyone's stuff starts going up because no one's doing anything bad. As people are beginning to gear up for next season, products are going to start releasing, etc., etc. The other thing, and I will tell you this right now, if another stimulus wave comes and it's good for your average person, where everyone's getting $1,000 check or a $2,000 check or more unemployment assistance or whatever, I think that could be a huge spike to the market as well, because that coincides with what happened back in March. So let's dig a little deeper here. So this is nice just to get a feel, but I prefer to look at the individual cards. But this is kind of what set me down this path. I scrolled through this chart, saw a lot of guys in green, and then I said, okay, well, let's go over the normal price movement by card chart. I use this one all the time. This is the one that I use in the weekly update videos on Sunday mornings, where I kind of go through and look at each individual sports market and kind of see what's moving and shaking. So if we sort this by number of sales, which I usually like to do, because it gives me, I could sort by percentage change and price change, but the problem with that is when you get low numbers of sales, it makes the numbers very swingy. If only 3 cards of someone sold, it can make for a huge percentage. So I like going by number of sales, and it also kind of shows you who's hot in the market. So Tyler Hero Prism is actually flat. I'm surprised. In general, he's trending down, but his base Prism, which is his main card, like it or not, is actually relatively flat at 35. I'll be curious to see how low this goes. I don't know that this is officially bottomed out yet. We'll click on that to pull up the chart. Give that a second to load. So next up, LeBron Prism Raw. Also looks like this has basically leveled out at about $30. Now this was up to 40 or 50, so it's taken a downswing. And I don't know 100% believe that this has straight hit the bottom and we're on the other side of it. So I'll be curious to see on that. Let's pop over to Hero real quick. Look at like the last 14 days. So as we come down this list, Luka Prism, and this is his 2019, so this is a second year card, is up 7%. Kobe Bryant, I'm not too concerned about Kobe's cards. He's a vet. He's a vintage guy. LeBron James Optic going down 43%. Not surprising. Okay, so now we get into the main stuff. Tyler Hero Mosaic actually up 20%. A little surprised by that. Here's the big ones. Now we're getting into the guys that we want to be seeing trending in the right direction. Zion Prism Base Raw up 10%. Ja Morant Prism PSA 10 Green up 3%. And these aren't huge swings, but last week, if you just go back to the video I made on Sunday talking about the NBA market, there was a ton of red on here. A ton of red. There's very little green. Now, all of a sudden, things are starting to trend in the right direction, and we see a ton of green on here. This is the biggest one that I noticed at the top. This Jaw Luminance is up almost 40%. This got as low as $20. We've talked about this card a ton. This is the one with him missing the dunk over Kevin Love. It's kind of an iconic photo, and I can easily see that being a very popular Jaw card if you could get it to grade out in a PSA 10. Now, it's a paper card that's a little trickier. Less surface issues, but corners get dinged up a little bit easier and stuff like that. But this card has now swung back in the other direction. And I think this is going to be a very popular card if Jaw makes it big. I'm not big on Chronicles, but that is the one card that I would really like to get out of Chronicles. So once again, down here, Zion, PSA 9, Prism, up 10%. Luka, PSA 10 Prism, up 5%. Starting the trend the other way. John Morant, PSA 9, 5%. Zion, just base paper Zion, up 12%. Zion again, we see SGA up 12% on his Prism. We get in a little red here with some mosaic stuff and some Luka Don Russ, some non-key stuff. Zion PSA 10 Prism's actually down a little bit, so that one's a little surprising. But once again, Trae Young, Prism base raw, up 13%. You know, that's a pretty big card. His 2018 rookie. Zion Mosaic, up 11%. 30 to $35. I'm going to skip over this vintage stuff. Kobe White, actually down 12%. He's one of the few modern guys trending in the wrong direction. These red stuff, once again, a lot of LeBron, a lot of Tyler Hero, which is normal. Once again, Trey, PSA 9, up 8%. Zion's Luminance is way up. I didn't realize I got that cheap. $6 for a Zion Luminance. It's up to 12, up 88%, which is not too bad. Once again, RJ Barrett going up. We see Rui here, his base Prism, up 112%. Went from $8 to $20 to $18. Kendrick Nunn, and I'm wondering if people are specking on Kendrick Nunn that Goran Dragic isn't going to be back, but I would assume that they'd bring Goran back. Trae Young Prism PSA 10, up 5%. So once again, we're not going to go through everything on this list to read off a bunch of them, but it just appears that things are beginning to head in the correct direction. So long story short is, if whoever it is that you're looking for, whether it's one of the guys I talked about in videos past or whoever your off-season pet project is, I think it's time to move or get off the pot. These prices are going to, I think, keep trending in the right direction. So if you're going to buy in, I think we're basically at the lowest for most of these cards, other than some of the Heat stuff. But non-Heat, non-Lakers stuff, I think it's really time to move if you haven't been already. If for some reason you've been waiting, we've been talking about buying off-season stuff for weeks, but now we're starting to see life. It's like spring has kind of sprung in the NBA market. Now, maybe this is a 1 week blip. The only reason why I don't think that's the case is because we're seeing it across multiple players. It's not just one guy that's creeping up. We're seeing it in Ja. We're seeing it in Zion. We're seeing it in Luka. We're seeing it in Trey. We're seeing it in Rui Hachimura, Kevin Porter Jr. So I think things are starting to pull back or the correct way. So that's all I got for you guys today. So we'll probably touch on this again on Sunday morning's video. Just to kind of relook at it and see if we're still trending in the right direction. And then I'll probably dig into some individual player stuff in a separate video from the market recap on Sunday. But yeah, click the like button, click the sub button if you're not already. Let's see if we could get through 1,500. Got about 100 and some to go, a little over 100 and some to go. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, whatever, leave them down below. I wanted to do it live this week. I was planning on doing it Wednesday, and then I had something come up right at the last minute that I had to delay it. So no live this week. I definitely wanted to do one. Maybe I'll pivot and do a live Sunday morning for the market recap video like I used to. So, but yeah, that's all I got. Like, sub, comment, all that jazz. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Have a good weekend and peace.